Kia ora koutou katoa, and welcome back everyone on the skysportnext coverage here at the Triathalon Festival at Ngā Beach here in New Plymouth. You can see the weather just closing in a little bit, but we're pretty confident we can get the last of the races out the way today on dry surfaces. So that last race to come is the schools team relays. We've got the under-16s and the under-19s going shortly. 2:55 exactly, we'll be sending off our under-19 teams, and then 2 minutes later the under-16s will go, and then 2 minutes later after that we have the non-champs going. So my name is Hayden Sherman. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Stephen Sheldrake, and it's been a great day.
Yeah, it has been. We've been lucky. We arrived this morning and it was a little bit wet and damp, and it dried up just in time for most of the events, and it looks like, as you said, it's just going to slide through hopefully. It's that northerly that's blowing straight in here to Ngā Beach, and a little bit more swell coming in, but yeah, this mixed relay event, it's the ability to bring 4 athletes together. We've got a few combinations this afternoon with the mixed teams, so we've got 2 men, 2 women, and it goes female, male in that order. They'll do a super short sprint race each. It's a 200-metre swim. You can see those yellow boys down on the beach here at the moment, where they'll do an anti-clockwise swim. And then they will complete a 5.3-kilometre ride out in the course, similar to this morning, a couple of laps. And then they'll come down and do a short 1-kilometre run. Then they tag the next person. And then that's repeated 3 more times for all the team to finish. So exciting time. And for the schools that are single-sex schools, just be 4 guys or 4 girls as well.
And so the tide has been heading out all day long. It was a nice full tide this morning for our earlier races, but as you can see, nice and low, you can see some of those waves breaking out into the port. And as you say, Stephen, they will be swimming nice and close to shore. And the transition's obviously a lot longer with that beach run.
Yeah, it's been quite a big tidal difference, isn't it? We're looking at about a good 50-odd metres that they have to run in and run out. So, that's just another element of triathlon, the ability to transition fast. And, we always say transitions is the 4th discipline of the sport. And, you know what I mean? This event was introduced to triathlon back in about 2010. I remember I was at the World Championships in a place called Des Moines in the middle of America, and it sort of is morphed into this a major event now, and it's super exciting to be involved with and watch. And it's going to be introduced for the first time at the Olympic Games in Tokyo this year. So New Zealand's adapted to it fairly well, and we've had some success over the last 2 or 3 years with our teams. And this is where it starts at the secondary schools. They get a taste for it, and and hopefully they go on one day and represent New Zealand at the Olympics themselves.
So obviously triathlon is more of an individual sport, but it's a great chance for these athletes, these schoolmates, to team up and turn it into a team sport and bury each other, bury themselves for the team. And often you see athletes really get the best out of themselves when their teammates are cheering them along, and we saw some of the under-14 athletes finishing together down the finishing chute, which is beautiful to see. All the camaraderie, and a great way to end what has been a fantastic domestic summer. Our borders have been closed, so we haven't been able to see our athletes compete on the international stage, but boys, it's been good to travel all around the country and experience triathlon in all of its forms, and what a fitting way to end with this relay.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you said, it's a great way for the teams to come together, and there's a few tactics involved. It's a fairly new sport, but there'll be a lot of discussion amongst the schools in regards to who's going to be the first lead-out lady versus the second-out lady, and the same with the guys. As a race, it starts together. You've got everyone on the start line together. They can draft off each other. They do start together. But as the race pans out, you get smaller groups of sort of 3s and 4s, and then down to 1s and 2s, and then the last athlete tends to be that person that's strong at time trialling and they're having to get away. So, yeah, there have been a few discussions amongst the sort of the academies and the schools here in regards to the best order. So, yeah.
So these drone shots for those at home watching, showing us how the course is laid out. So there's a little bit of a gap between us and the road course and the beach, obviously. And in between that road you can see on screen and the beach is the transition area. So the course, as you mentioned, Stephen, will be a 200 metre swim, and then a 5.3k bike. Now that's 2 laps. And that'll be the same for the under-16s and the under-19s. And then it's just a big old 1k sprint for home to tag your partner. And so the baton in these events is the transponder. And so that's probably the 5th sport, isn't it? Trying to work out how to get the transponder on and off.
Yeah, 100%. And there'll be an area where they have to do that within. So it's up by the end of the transition, and they'll be there. And, starting to see some of those flags blowing a little bit more. A little bit windy. I think we're going to be lucky and just squeak in before it gets really wet, as we see one of the under-14 teams finishing now. So
I think this is Hillview School coming down. So they're finishing Reed Ellison, Elijah Trotter, Benita Clark, Tessa Davis. And so great to see these school teams all pitching in.
Look at the smiles on their faces there. Something different.
Number 111. That's helpful if you get into some trouble on the course.
Yeah, exactly.
And just as we speak, there's a few little spits of rain just coming across the course, which is going to make the teams race a little bit tricky in terms of the technical elements of the cycle, as St. Kitts comes through with their under-13 team. Ben Archer, Dorothy Anderson, Alex Bishop, Holly Bishop. Well done to those athletes finishing off what has been a big day of triathlon.
Yeah, it's been a fairly long day for them, so they've had to back up twice. Most of these athletes, I'd say nearly all of them, have done the individual event this morning. They had a bit of food and put some warm clothes on, and then they've had to strip down and back onto racing again and give it their full effort.
So fresh off the couch team, Ileana team, and the Mad Mixers all coming through. Yep, jackets are going on. Hoods are going up.
Get that photo, Mum. Get that photo. I'm cold.
So for those watching at home and later on want to go back and watch the coverage from this morning, we had some great racing in the New Zealand Schools Champs in pretty much dry road conditions. Though these showers you can sort of see just starting to come in. Weren't here, they sort of were here overnight, and then it dried up just in time for racing. And now it seems to just be returning as St. Peter's Cambridge, the under-13 team, Sam Ballantyne, Katie Taylor, Casey Shaw Strengths, and Jack Kelsenai coming across the line. Well done, team.
Yeah, just with the weather, I think there's just a slight delay in the start of the under-19/under-16s. So we won't be far away from a start there.
So Stephen, while we've got a little gap in the program, it'd be good to talk about how you train for these shorter relays. Obviously, the go-to has for the triathlon in the Olympics has been the longer 1,500 metre swim, 40k bike, 10k road run, but now it's a whole different picture.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's an interesting one. It's hard. You're trying to coach an athlete to do well over a sort of a 1 hour 45 to 2 hour event in the Olympic distance, and then they're having to do these 20-minute events, a completely different energy system. So, and it's been a fine balance between the athletes in regards to what they're training for and getting ready for and things like that. And you're starting to see countries come very specific. They're producing specific MTR athletes, or they've just got, you tend the older athletes will be the Olympic distance specialists. You know what I mean? The average age of the top 10 Olympians over the last 5 Olympics of triathlon, the average age has been 28 for men and about 32 for women, so a little bit older. Whereas this younger 20-minute event, it's a lot younger coming through now, and we're going to have a lot more data and knowledge as the years go on and a few more Olympics, but as we just get shots of down on the beach of that northerly starting to drive in and get a few of the mums and dads and the officials a bit wetter there.
I'm thinking that I should have brought my umbrella. And some people are probably thinking they brought their wetsuit as well.
Yeah.
Or just wanting to get into that 19-degree water because it's probably a little bit warmer than the air right now as the summer of triathlon comes to a close with this northerly front coming in. And yeah, like you say, the great thing about these relays for high school athletes is it creates that brilliant development pathway to develop that speed and build their speed ceiling, so that when they do eventually step up to the sprint distance or the standard distance, or potentially up into your 70.3s and your iron distance, they've got that ability to go faster when they need it. And our first athlete's getting underway, sprinting the 100 metres or so down to the water's edge, and then it'll be a case of navigating the little bit of surf that we've got coming into the port and heading round the two buoys.
So yeah, it looks like we've started off with the mixed relays. Obviously we start with the ladies first, and then a few minutes later it's going to be the full boys schools starting off, and then a few minutes later it'll be the full girls, followed by the non-championship teams. So quite hard, you know what I mean, for each school to find. There'll be some double ups of a few of these schools here, where they've gone to a school within their same city or something and found a couple of boys or a couple of girls to create a team. But yeah, it's flat tack, you know what I mean, interesting combination. Like, so we talked this morning about who's going to wear a wetsuit, who's not going to wear a wetsuit. You know what I mean, anything sort of around that 750 metres, like this morning that they raced in, well, a wetsuit's going to be quicker. But 200 metres with this long run and the tide on the way out, you can see that it's been some have gone wetsuit, some have gone non-wetsuit.
I mean, the swim almost involves as much running as it does swimming. So
Yep.
It's interesting, and certainly those who have a bit of surf life-saving background, they'll be loving this sort of condition with a beach sprint to get into the water, navigate the surf, go through what's probably a pretty lumpy side-on swell as you're going across the beach and not too far from the shore, so if you're breathing out to the right, get a few mouthfuls of water occasionally as it comes and washes over you.
Yeah, definitely. They're sort of like in that little break zone still, aren't they? They don't go far enough out. And the rule says that you can't run along that back straight. It's pretty deep. It goes deep fairly quickly there. So most of them be swimming along. But yeah, as you said, that northerly be, you know what I mean? We'll see the ones that have learned how to breathe on their left side as opposed to the right side in regards to sucking in a bit of water.
All right, so these athletes itching to get going.
Yeah, they certainly are.
All right, and they're off down that soft sand, into the hard stuff, and then into the water, navigating it with those good high knees, getting the feet up clear of the shallows, and then diving into the breakers.
Yeah, definitely. We see all these different combinations of schools here sort of heading at the moment, so...
All right, and one of our athletes is underway, and out they go into this water here at Namutu. The water temperatures are about 19 degrees, which is probably a tad warmer than the air is feeling at the moment with that northerly breeze just closing in. You can see the drops of water on the lenses of our camera crew.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky up until about now, haven't we? So once the adrenaline gets going, they get out there, then they'll forget completely about it. As long as they're careful on the bike and avoid those sort of white lines and those sort of risky turns, get back safely to tag their next team member.
So we can confirm Hamilton Boys is the first team back from the water, closely followed by Whanganui Collegiate School and St Paul's Collegiate, not too far behind them.
Yeah, well,
under 19s.
There's St Paul's in third. I'm guessing they'll have Oliver Lacombe, who won this morning in the under 19 race. He's from St Paul, so I dare say he's probably making up part of that team as well.
Yep, St Paul's have definitely turned out in numbers today, and good to see, and always good to see everyone wearing their school colours proudly. And turning up in teams, we've got marquees from schools from all around the country here. And I'm sure a lot of those athletes and team managers and parents and teachers will be huddling under those marquees now as the rain starts to come in. Still not particularly heavy. Those drops on the lenses there are probably a bit deceiving. It's probably not compulsory umbrella weather yet, but as you say, you can see the water that's starting to gather on that bike course, and I live in Taranaki here, and we've barely had any rain all March long. We've had a wonderful weather of March, and it's just Murphy's Law that it came to an end today. Tomorrow's supposed to be even worse, so we kind of got it lucky today. But it does make for some greasy roads when you've been dry for so long. A lot of oil and debris on the roads that gets washed up.
Yeah, but we've just got to be thankful that we're actually racing. You know what I mean? We're pretty lucky in this part of the world, so it's great to be back watching this again. As we see some of the runners, the swimmers, exiting the water, and they run up. It's a fairly long run of about 150 metres, and they will go up. And as per this morning in an individual event, they'll be taking off wetsuits, so they've got that, and they'll be putting on a helmet, unracking their bikes, and then running out and doing their 2-lap course, 5.3 kilometres.
So it's great to have your company here on the skysportnext coverage as we round off the summer of triathlon here at Ngā Beach in Taranaki for the Taranaki Festival. And this is the high school team relays. We've got the under-19s coming in now, and they are emerging from the water, making their way up through the soft sand. It's quite a lot of soft sand to navigate, and that's probably the exact thing you don't want before you hop on the bike.
No. You got those sandy feet and those cycle shoes, and then you got to take them off and put those sandy feet on those running shoes. But it's only a kilometre of running, and it's only 5.3 of riding, so it's just getting on with it. But as you said earlier, you're going to see a lot of these team members sort of lifting that little bit more because now they're racing for their team, their school.
So many of these athletes choosing to go without the wetsuit and make that transition so much faster. But they do have to put up with about 10 minutes waiting on the start line.
There we go. It's looking a little bit wetter up there on the top there, isn't it? It's on the top road. They're on the 2-lap course up there, the 5.3 kilometre course.
Now, exiting T1, I can tell you that regional team number 1, who I'm unsure who that is exactly, have gone through, and regional team number 5 have also gone through. So I imagine that's a combo of several schools putting together a team.
And there we see an example of two teams working well together. So they're allowed a draft in this one, and they should be working together to try and get away from them. And as I was saying a little bit earlier too, that you'll see the different tactics throughout the race. We tend to start off in bigger groups, and they work as a group, but as the race goes on, it gets thinned out, and it becomes more of a time trial for each of the athletes. This will take them, I'm guessing about good 15 minutes per person. So it should all be done in about an hour's time. And you see up the top there, the roads are looking a little bit wetter, a few more puddles starting to form, and they're going to have to be careful.
Yeah, so this course, as they head along the port there, you can see that 180-degree turn, and that's one of the tricky sections of the course. They'll head back along Breakwater Road and come back to Ngā Beach, and then swing a left and come down the hill, and that's where things get extra technical. You're going downhill, you're turning corners. There's big posts with rugby pads wrapped around them to make sure you don't crash into them at full speed.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing you'll see in this mixed, this tag relay event is the lead changes. A lot of lead changes in regards to the strengths and weaknesses and where the certain schools have put their stronger athletes. So it's certainly not over at this stage, you know what I mean? It would be a lot of changes throughout the race.
Is there a school of thought at the moment in terms of, running a 4x400, 4x100? You usually put your quickest athlete at the start, maybe your second quickest at the end, or vice versa. Is there anything like that with the mixed relays at the moment in terms of?
Yeah, there's definitely skill sets. There's critical success factors for each of those legs, and on an international stage nowadays, we're sort of looking at in a World Series event, you'll have 20 teams on the start line, and it's the first female is about being a good swimmer who'll make the front pack, they can just sit in the pack and then they run well. Okay. The second athlete, usually the male athlete, they're the athlete that swims well. They're the one that closes any gap that first runner's created, and they get onto the pack. Obviously, they have to run well as well. And then at that stage, the event starts to thin out a bit, and you get sort of packs of 3s and 4s, and you move more into that sort of time trial athlete, the athlete that's happy to get away in a small group and a pack and get away. And then, again, it just gets thinned out throughout the race. And, you know what I mean? So you look at the strengths and weakness of each of your teams, and you try and marry that up. And when you go to a World Series event, countries, we have to nominate our team the night before the race, and then you have up until 2 hours before the race to change your relay. And it's always very secretive which athletes they're using for each country, because they're starting to see how the race may pan out for them and things like that. So, yeah, it's coming quite cool. It's added another dynamic and a few more tactics involved into the sport now. And
it's such a great event to watch as well, when you're seeing these athletes tag their partner and then dive into the water, and it's very fast, very, very intense, and like you say, lots of lead changes, lots of excitement out there. So talking about excitement, I can tell you that St. Paul's Collegiate seems to be the first team through the first lap on the bike. And remember, there's 2 laps on the bike, with Barradine after them, and then Hamilton Boys. Palmerston North Girls High School have come through, Wanganui Collegiate, and Auckland Team A.
Yeah, good close racing, and I'm sure we're going to see some team changes throughout it. As I was saying earlier, you got the winner from under-19 boys. The school's leading at the moment, so it's boding well if he's racing as well, Oliver. You know, there's an example, like this young lad's decided to use his running shoes on the bike. So if you watched the 2018 Commonwealth Games in the Gold Coast, New Zealanders, we trialled something that no other country had done. We used, they're called speed plates. When they ran out of the swim, and our athletes had their running shoes attached to these plates on their bike as opposed to cycle shoes. And because it's something they've had to practice a lot, and it gave us
still connected to the pedal.
Still connected to the pedal, so it's got a sort of Velcro strap that goes over the plate, over the cycle shoe. And when they came into transition, as opposed to taking their foot out of their running shoe, they undid the straps and they were in their running shoes. And when our athletes got it right, it gave them about a 6-second advantage in the transition, which is massive when you're only running, at that level, 1.5 kilometres.
And far less fluffing around in T2 as you're taking your shoes off on the last couple of 100 metres and
so it'll be
navigating those tricky transition areas.
This lad's thinking the same thing by the looks of it with his running shoes, but it may be a little bit more difficult as he goes round the corners and having to get up to speed again, and obviously the slipperiness with the rain and things like that. So, but it's only a kilometre run, so if you can save 6 seconds as an example, you're down the road and gone.
And we've seen with some of the indoor racing with the Super League, often guys running barefoot and just going straight onto the treadmill barefoot to save them the extra time of putting the shoes on.
No, exactly. No, straight on. Good Kiwi feet.
Yeah.
The New Zealand way, walking around with those shoes on.
Yeah. You wouldn't recommend biking with no shoes on, but
no,
definitely for the run.
This young lady's got a great cadence, nice and low, and sort of getting along quite well.
So most of the teams in under-19s are through the first lap on the bike. So that means they're past the halfway point in this first leg. So remember, there's four athletes for each team. And the mixed teams are going female, male, female, male. But we also have teams from single-sex schools, which would be obviously all boy or all girl. And so they're all combined in the same race, and we also have the under-16s racing just 2 minutes behind. So
yeah, it's going to be, everyone's a competitor out there. You're not going to know who's in your race, to be honest, are you? So I think everyone's a competitor.
And the good thing about that is no matter where you are, there should be someone either ahead of you or behind you that you can key off and maybe look to them and put a little bungee cord on their back and try and reel them in.
Yeah, definitely. No, a massive advantage with this drafting, and Yeah, no, he's going to be a prevailing wind one way and another. But as it starts to blow a little bit more up there, as you see one of the boys go over the top of him, the girls.
And we were talking about the showers coming through. I think those showers are kind of backing off a little bit. So they're sending the drone up in the sky, which is a good sign that we've got less precipitation in the air.
No, it is a good sign.
And here we are coming down this little tricky section. You can see a little bit of moss on the ground. It adds to that slipperiness. Paint, puddles.
So this is the first lady coming in at the end of leg one. And they have dismounted before that line, and now they'll go around, rack their bike, and then they've got this 1 kilometre all-out sprint, and then they'll be tagging the next team member, which will be a boy in the mixed tag team relay. And then they'll repeat the same thing all again.
So getting a great shot of the transition area. So you go through those Pahudakawas and then find your spot to rack your bike. Make sure it's your spot. Ditch your helmet, do your shoes, and then out there you've got 1K to just blat it and end your season on a fast sprint.
Yeah, it's tough, and at the end of these races, people are in a heat for a while actually, so you'll find that they go deeper in these ones than they do in the individual events. Neck and neck as they leave together.
Yeah, nice and close there. So we've got St. Paul's Collegiate who will finish up their cycle. Barradine, Palmerston North Girls High, maybe they are the two athletes that we could see leaving together. Hamilton Boys have left as well. So I imagine, is that one of our St. Paul's athletes? Not wearing the colours of St. Paul's?
Yeah, well this may be one of the boys' schools.
Hamilton Boys, potentially?
Potentially, because they
everyone at home is screaming at your screens saying
who it is.
We know exactly who that is. And we've also had Wanganui Collegiate come through. We've had Auckland Team A and Regional Team number 5. So St. Paul's Collegiate was the first through T2. Then it was Barradine, Palmerston North Girls, and Hamilton Boys.
So the same course that they used this morning, but it's just 500 metres down, 500 metres back, and then they'll be tagging their team member. A few more puddles out there to navigate their way through the course. But as you said, it looks like it's just starting to dry up now. Looks like number team 116 that's on the front at the moment. So we'll just confirm that that's the school we've been talking about in St. Paul's.
Good, strong running technique here. Coming back to home, only a few hundred metres to go to finish off your triathlon season for the summer. That's got to feel good as you see your teammate up ahead and they'll be cheering each other on.
Yeah, as we said before, there's going to be a few changes throughout the day.
And we have our first of our second athletes heading out on leg 2.
It looks like the transition runs longer than the swim with the tide going out. But amazing aerial shots we're getting here today, and you know, a bit of a quick wade out and then 2 or 3 porpoises, and then he will start swimming.
So apologies, our splits aren't coming up with who that is. Up there, back into the swim already. So we can see another of our swimmers getting out into the water. As we've said, a little bit of chop coming in with that northerly, just blowing a bit of swell through the mouth of the port. But nothing too bad to worry about. Probably makes things that little bit more interesting.
There's a bit we talked about earlier, the changeover, giving the transponder to the next person. Something slightly different to what they normally do. It's the baton of mixed team relay.
Yeah, nice and ready. So always a good idea to let the athlete who is going next do the work of getting the transponder off and on, so that the person who's exhausted doesn't have to deal with working out how to use Velcro.
No, definitely not. And this young lady's decided to wear a wetsuit. I probably would be too. I don't like the cold water.
So we can tell you that out on back from the run on their first leg, we've got regional team number 5, regional team number 1. St Paul's Collegiate have come through. Palmerston North Girls High School, their under-19 team has come through. Hamilton Boys has come through. Barradine under-19 has come through. Auckland Team A has come through. And Wanganui Collegiate School, the under-19 team, has come through.
Yeah, it's quite deceiving. When you look from that angle there, it's quite a decent swim, but when you look from the beach side, it doesn't look as long as that, does it? So we've got about I'd suggest about 100 metres between each of those boys. You can see there's good 4 or 5 teams within there, and an opportunity for them to going to close up throughout the race. So that looks like a Bell. He raced this morning. I think he's in the top 5 or so in the under-19 race. So he races out of Taupo. And it looked like Hannah Howe, also out of Taupo, just tagged him as well. So a couple of good, strong athletes for that team.
And interesting to see the different ways that people approach the sprint down the beach. Do you go all out to get in the water, or do you kind of pace yourself early on? Maybe you're looking for someone ahead of you. It was a good pair of feet to follow around the swim, and potentially tag on and join them on the bike.
I've seen some amazing runs from transitions to the water, and then a big piano falls on them about 100 metres before the finish. But yeah, there's some amazing photo shots at sort of the World Series events around the world when athletes are running at, it looks like about 40 kilometres an hour and diving into the air. The photographers have sort of perched themselves underneath those swim starts now to get these amazing photos.
And talking about amazing shots, incredible seeing these swimmers head out into the port of Taranaki and go around those 2 yellow buoys and then back on the sand for the beach sprint up into the transition area. And I can tell you that that sand there, the darker shade of sand, is very soft. It's iron-rich sand and it's tricky to run on, and must be trickier after coming from being horizontal to suddenly vertical. That rush of blood to the head.
Yeah, it is certainly different. And, a lot of these athletes are trained for it, as we talked this morning. They do transition training where they do, they'll do swim bikes and swim runs. And, a lot of the coaches will get the athletes to take indoor trainers and they put them beside this swimming pool. And they might do like a 200, 300 metre swim and jump out and do a 5, 6, 7 minute ride on the bike. And then they may run off that as well. And so, yeah, it's certainly another element of the training that's done quite regularly.
First time I did a T1 transition went down to take my wetsuit off and just fell over. I had no perception of which way was up, which way was down.
Yeah, it's certainly different.
All right, onto the bike. And so it's a long run in 2 T1, but it's also a decent length run with the bike to reach this mount line. You can see there, that green sign, that gives you the permission to jump on your bike, get into those shoes, or do you just jump on top of the shoes and get up to speed? Because you've got a little hill to tackle first of all.
Yeah, you'll see the really good athletes, they can jump and they'll put their feet into the shoes as they jump on.
Wow.
So it's a skill that they have to practice a lot, and so basically their feet will be in there. The straps might not be done up for a while until they get up to speed, but you see he's got up to speed, he's doing one shoe up, now he should get up to speed again and then get the other shoe done up as well. And it's pretty good on this course here, where it's a slight incline all the way up to the port area, then it flattens off a bit before they turn a right-hand turn on the Bailey Road, which is quite steep.
See a little bit of surf there, so some of these athletes will get just a slight toe in. The last few strokes will have a bit of assistance, and then they'll find their fingers scraping the sand, and they'll plant a foot and get up and view the big archway to run under and get into T1.
Yeah, and we see a few of these teams starting to bunch up now, and you'll start to see probably some bigger packs on the ride and work together to sort of try and catch those front groups.
So we've had a few athletes coming through T1. So on leg 2, we've got regional team number 5, regional team number 1, and apologies right now, we're not sure where those athletes are from. But St. Paul's Collegiate is still in there, Palmerston North Girls High School still in there, Barradine, Wanganui Collegiate, Hamilton Boys.
Yeah, good spread of schools throughout the country, isn't it?
So, and a lot of those same teams that we had earlier in the leg. First leg, just holding it together for that swim as well, maintaining those placings.
Amazing aerial shots. It's amazing what they can do with these drones nowadays, as we see one of the lead males, number 1438 or 143B potentially. Yeah, it looks at 143B. So there's obviously the first athletes, the A athlete, B athlete, C athlete, D athlete.
Quick cadence here, just hammering away at those pedals. And this is one of the most technical parts of the bike course. That road is greasy. It's a reasonably thick chip on the ground. It's a port road, so there's a few potholes from trucks, and there's a lot of technical elements, so you've got to keep awake. You can't just put your head down and go for it.
No, definitely not. You've got to be aware of what's going on, and yeah, the roads are pretty wet. So that looks like Matthew Nay. So he was the winner of the under-16 event this morning, and he's joined up with one of the teams, and no doubt he'll close a few athletes down. We talked about this morning, he's riding the disc brakes. So this wet weather, back in the day with the rim brake bikes, it made it a little bit harder to stop and a bit slow down, but disc brakes nowadays, it's more or less doesn't make a difference if it's raining or dry, so we'll certainly have an advantage and be a little bit safer with those disc brakes.
And this is one of those reasons where you're, as a coach, Stephen Sheldrake, you're probably encouraging your athletes, even if it's raining, head out there and get that work done on the bike so you can be prepared for these days when you're racing and you've got some greasy conditions.
It's certainly a skill set, and you know, there's a good example. You know, just every year, I remember there's always an Australian athlete, a number of Australian athletes that aren't very good on the wet because it doesn't rain them very often.
Yeah.
So they're not used to riding.
When it rains,
wet.
it floods.
Exactly. So, and it's quite a Yeah, it's a very prominent point that you need to train in all conditions, because you can get anything when you go away, and especially here in New Zealand. I got told it never rains here in New Plymouth, ever. Except on race day.
We get a fair amount of rain. When I first moved here, for the first 3 months, we didn't see the mountain. Didn't even believe it existed, and then it popped out. But no, it's a nice mix of weather. It's never too hot, never too cold.
No, it's a stunning part of the world. I know what you mean. I've been here probably about good 12 to 14 times, and I think it's probably about a 50-50 rate, really, in regards to whether I see the mountain or don't see the mountain. But on Thursday and Friday when I've been here, it's definitely in full view. Today it might be a little bit harder to see.
So I think this is regional team number 5. Looking nice and strong. I'll see if I can click through and find any more details about them. No, currently we don't have any details. So apologies to those teams that we can't give you names and schools and a bit more data. So these drone shots showing this course. So this is Breakwater Road, which is the main out and back. You go along that long strip of road right round to, well, this is getting close to the end of that course on Breakwater Road. You've probably got another 200 or 300 metres past the service station, and then you've got to slam the brakes on and make sure that you navigate that corner accurately. So coming through the first lap of the cycle in this leg 2, we've got regional team number 5 and St Paul's Collegiate. So they're nice and close to each other.
Yeah, it's looking about an 8-second difference between those two teams.
So some of these teams will be in the non-championship, so that's where you don't have one school, it's a combo of various schools, and then there's the championship, which are made up of students just from the one school, potentially a co-ed situation two single-sex schools joining together.
So number 123, the second athlete on the way out now. That's how I do transitions nowadays. I sit down and put my shoes on. Get too old to run and jump on the bikes.
Gotta look after those hammies. Make it a bit more comfortable. Are you allowed outside assistance to help on the transitions?
I know. I think when you get to over 45, you should be allowed it. Yeah, no.
Someone help me with these shoes?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so this gives you a good view of the technical part of the course, where you swing that 90-degree left turn, come down the hill over the railway lines, which are covered with a mat, so you don't have to worry about railway lines, and then you go through this little car park section, which is a closed off road. It's a private road as part of the port car park, and they'll swing around there, go down the hill, and then back up. So here's a good view of one of our athletes coming into transition.
Yeah,
number
this
2.
Is a leader. Looks like a leader, the second male athlete on his way down the hill before he racks his bike and does his 1 kilometre run.
So regional team number 5. Just being careful to make sure he gets around that corner safely. He doesn't finish his summer with some skinned knees.
No, we don't want to finish off that way, do we? No, it's been a pretty good summer. Not long to go now, though, before, someone changes the time on the clocks, and it always feels like winter to me when those change, and certainly getting darker a lot earlier at night time now.
And so, Stephen, talk us through what's in the lineup for local athletes domestically in terms of duathlon, when that kind of kicks off, and does it sort of go quiet for a little while?
Yeah, it goes quiet for a little while, and people sort of get a time to refresh and catch up with what they haven't done, all their housework and different things, and Yeah, duathlons will probably start about May or so, June. They'll start sort of popping up throughout the club scene and throughout the country. And, you know, a few athletes will start doing, you know, the likes of the cross-country seasons and those sort of single-discipline sports that they can do that. But from a triathlon perspective, yeah, this is more or less the culmination of the summer. There's a couple of, I know, exteriors on in a few weeks' time, and a few athletes will do the off-road type thing. But, you know, that, and we had Ironman in Taupo yesterday. It's sort of the end of the season, really. Getting a bit cold to swim and get out there and train, and a bit dark, and makes it a little bit harder, doesn't it?
Yeah, and obviously yesterday, 2 Kiwis coming away with the win. We sort of had the monopoly on that win at Ironman Taupo. But yeah, great to see Braden Curry at top form with a new race record, and Hannah Wells on her first ever Ironman getting the win. Yeah, exactly. Very impressive by both of them, but particularly Braden to break the course record. That's been there a long time, and to break 8 hours, which is like the 4-minute mile, and in such impressive fashion with finishing off with a 2:40 marathon is very impressive. I've got a feeling that's potentially Adam Martin. He's in one of the non-regional teams, which is, there's no age limit on it. It's just a non-championship team. And he raced this morning, and he was in the top 6 or 7 in their open race. He's out of Manawatu. We've also got St. Paul's Collegiate, so they're out on the run as well. And they are the leading championship team. So yeah, we see those colours of St. Paul's that we've seen all morning long, looking nice and strong at the moment.
Yeah, that's nice there, Alan.
Yeah, they're definitely going well.
So you can see those, for those watching at home, the drops on the lenses. Looking out the window, for me, it's looking pretty dry at the moment. So we had that little flick of rain that greased up the race course, but conditions are actually pretty good at the moment. And I'm sure once you're out on the run, you're not complaining about any little drips of rain. You probably want a little bit of something to cool you down. Yeah, well, there's a bit of rain. It's not that cold out there at the moment, and the wind's definitely died off from about half an hour ago when we started, so we're pretty lucky, really. All right, so I can confirm we've got regional team number 5, regional team number 3, regional team number 4. They are all the non-champ teams that have come through this T2 on leg 2. And in the championship, we've got St. Paul's Collegiate have come through, and Whanganui Collegiate have come through their under-19 team. So they're the 2 in the championship. So we see that runner that's finishing off there. As we said, it's only a 1 out and back, 1 kilometre run. He'll be tagging onto the 3rd athlete here. And I believe this is the regional team number 5 that's out in the front at the moment. If you're viewing at home, we apologise. We don't have any data on the names of the athletes here at the moment, but we're aiming to do so. So he's just making his way into that little tent, and you see that they're passing over the timing transponder, and then the next person's going to be off here. Making their 100 metre down to the water's edge, and they'll start their 200 metre swim. So if you've just joined us on the Sky Sport Next coverage, it's great to have your company. Thanks for tuning in to these schools team relays, and be sure to, if you see your school out there, hit that share button, send it to your classmates and your friends and family. and make sure they're watching it, because you might just see some of your schoolmates come through for a team national title here. We are we're just coming up the third leg of our teams, as you can see them just hitting the water. So 4 legs, each of those athletes doing a 200-meter swim, 5.3k bike, so 2 laps of our bike course, and then just a 1k sprint for home. And so they go around that yellow buoy just on the right there, and then swim across the beach with the swell just coming over their right shoulder, and they'll be looking to go around that second yellow buoy and then make their way towards T1, sprinting up the beach. And I say just 1k worth of running, but you're probably going to get through almost 2k worth of running when you consider all the transitions and the beach sprints.
Yeah, it's a lot of running, isn't it? Probably done a kilometre of running in the transitions. That last shot, you just saw that swimmer was quite wide out. He's obviously she's misjudged where the turning buoy is. As we see another of the teams, it looks like it's a Canterbury team that's just coming in. They're changing over their responder here at the moment. And this person here's got their technique ready. They're down on one knee to grab the transponder and quickly get it on. As we see someone exiting the water and making their way up the beach.
Yeah, so we've got Wanganui Collegiate through, we've got St. Paul's through into the next leg. We've got Team Tip.
Yeah, that's I think it's a coaching group, that Team Tip. So they've put a team together, obviously, and combinations of different teams out there, the schools, and there's a possibility you could put teams together from different coaching groups.
We've got CTA under-19 mix. I wonder if that's Canterbury Triathlon?
Yeah, it's Canterbury Triathlon Academy, so they'll have a mixed team in there as well. Very strong academy. It's been around for a long, long time. Very, very supportive of all the events throughout the country. Doing regular trips up here to the North Island.
I think the Cantabs are good at every sport, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They get in behind everything, don't they?
Great sporting region. Although we don't like to remind them too much about that.
No. We don't need to.
All right, so we do have some team names to read through, and while we're talking about Canterbury, let's talk about that Canterbury Triathlon team. So it has Morgan Flanagan, Henry McMecking, Sarah McClure, and Jack Staples. We've also got St. Paul's Collegiate, as you mentioned, Oliver Larcombe leading them out, Toby Finlayson, Nikita Coleman, and Monique Spedding. And the Wellington Collegiate team, Hunter Gibson, Madison Gray, Ai Fungalada, Anna Braben. And let me run through the rest of those championship teams. So Palmerston North Girls High School, we've got Hayley Evans, Bella Rose Lloyd, Bella Ives, Fallon Roy. And Hamilton Boys has Hamish Rodley, Ethan Herbert, Ethan Barton, and Carlos Hardy. And Barradine under-19 team has Gemma Carter, Charlotte Brown, Liam Evans, and Emma Blackmore. So unfortunately we don't have the names for the regional teams, but that takes you through the schools championship anyway.
Yeah, a number of names in there that are doubling up from this morning. You know, as you said, Oliver Larcombe, he sort of led off that St. Paul's Collegiate team, hence why they're well up there. And if we look at the Auckland Team A, they've got Sophie Spencer, who was second this morning, leading off their team as well. So they've loaded up their best athletes at the beginning to get them out the front.
So this athlete coming out of T1 up the hill onto Breakwater Road. This is where they can get up to speed and really get those pedals cranking. Get in that good aero position.
So it looks like Josiah Nay. He's He's one of the older athletes who raced this morning, so he's going to be in one of these regional teams. So from memory, he was about 6th or 7th this morning in the open race. His brother Matthew Nay won the under-16 race. So he'll be looking to try and close a gap on some of these earlier teams up the front.
So those teams that have gone through the first transition of the third leg are regional team number 5, regional team number 3, and St. Paul's Collegiate School. So I'm guessing that was regional team number 3 that Josiah Nay is part of.
Yeah, look to him. He's got to close down a gap of, looks like about 1:20. So look for him to close that down, and I dare say he will. This is the beauty of mixed team relay, and there's lots of changes throughout it.
And as you said before, you predicted it right. To start with, we had a few little groups, pairs of athletes being able to work together, but now it's really time trial status. You've got to be able to push yourself hard, and so that's where it comes in. Just struggling to get into those wet shoes.
Yeah, wet shoes. Lace is not quite loose enough, and
sandy feet.
That's it. Bad combination, isn't it? So
this is the thing. You might practice your transitions and on a dry day with no sand around.
Yeah,
you get to
definitely.
these sorts of situations where there's water, there's sand.
Yeah, as you see Josiah Nay, he got a little bit of a glimpse of the team that's out the front leading there. And he'll be calculating how hard he's got to go to get down this far end and catch back up again.
So here we go. He'll be coming up to that hairpin turn, swing the bike around, get it back up to speed for another 800 metres odd as he brings it back towards home.
Yeah, 5.3 kilometre run in total for each of these team members today. Which doesn't sound very far, but when you're on the rivet going as hard as you possibly can, it hurts. It hurts a lot.
And especially with all these tight corners, little niggly hills, and you're having to really surge that power output. So there'll be times where you're backing down to 0 power, and then there's times when you're just cranking up max power.
That's it, definitely. He seems like he's taking his time in transition, making sure it's done properly.
Yep, safety first.
Yeah.
And one of the cases you mentioned before about a little rubber band to keep the shoes in place. Talk us through that, because I imagine some people at home wondering, oh, how can I sort out those shoes from bouncing around? And
yeah, definitely. It's, you know, so most of these athletes will make sure that they're in the gear that they want to start off in. This one here, they've got to go uphill initially, so they're very likely to be in these small chainring on the front and an easier gear on the back, but the shoes will already be clipped in, so they're racing around with cleats, clip-in shoes, and they're stuck into the pedals. And then to keep them level, they'll put a rubber band around a part of the shoe, and then they'll attach it to like a drink bottle cage or the rear derailleur, so that they sit nice and level. And when the good athletes jump onto their bikes, they've got a nice flat platform to land their feet on, or their feet go into when they jump on.
Right.
So
it's almost like a bit of a Jedi move, jumping on the seat, getting your feet in all in one motion.
You don't want to slip and get it wrong, because it hurts a fair bit and you look stupid. But
sounds like a YouTube fail video waiting to happen, that one.
Yep, and even some of the best athletes in the world do it as well. So it's something, like you said, the athlete's got to practice a lot, and it's definitely a skill set that can sort of be the difference in the World Series races of making a group and not making a group.
So is that potentially one of our Canterbury athletes?
Yeah, it looks like one of our CTA athletes, and they've been well up there throughout the race. I think they're sitting in about 3rd place at the moment. So they were going at a transition. It looks like they're only about 20 seconds behind at some stage of the 2nd place team.
Now, is that Jack Staples potentially?
He's down in our list at the moment to be the 4th team member. So I believe we're still in the 3rd category. And this is definitely Josiah Nay, and he's in one of the regional teams, and I'm not sure whether his team is a team of full males or a combination of 2 and 2.
Looking nice and speedy.
Yeah, you can see he's taking he's taking the shortest line possible, and he's trying to avoid any riders that he's overtaking. but he's certainly moving at speed here, and motorbike's staying up with him.
So these athletes, when they're on the flat, what sort of speeds would we be looking to get up to on these straights?
Oh, something like this at the moment. He's probably sitting on about 44, 45k an hour. A lot of them have power meters on their bike. You know, he'll probably be sitting on about 320, 330 watts for this ride. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? There's not much pacing that goes on in this. It's just full noise and
just go for it.
Just go.
Yeah, he's got the little meter there beneath him, but I imagine he doesn't have much time to gaze down and look at it.
He's got a bit of a target he's been chasing. I think they started off about a minute or so, minute and a half down on the front team. And he'll be trying to chase down that first person.
So this is coming back towards the transition area. So this is on the homeward bound journey of Breakwater Road. You can see the smokestack behind, just looking a little bit misty as we get another shower coming across. Things are looking a little bit more gloomy out there. It's not heavy rain. It's just light rain coming down. But
just enough to be a pain, isn't it? We hit the roads and get a little bit wet, but you know, the farmers will be loving it. There's always someone's going to like the rain.
Exactly.
This rider's doing well. You know, I mean, he's staying clear of the white lines. They're going to be nice and slippery as they approach this left-hander at the top of the hill. And he'll be about to go into the little chicane off to the left. And then if this is the end of their ride, they'll start heading down the hill to get ready for that 1K sprint. Nice and carefully around it. So yeah, he's just reaching down and undoing that left shoe. He'll pull that left leg out. He'll just make use of gravity so he can roll down the hill and take out the second one.
Just the benefit of having a downhill into transition. It's a bit of a hassle on the way up when you're trying to get your shoes in, but as you come down, like you say, you can just freewheel and unclip those shoes.
Yeah, definitely.
And get ready to jump off at that dismount line and then start your running. So teams that have passed through, as we have regional team number 5 coming through there, teams that have passed through their first lap on this third leg of the cycle. We've got regional team number 3, regional team number 4. We've got that Canterbury Triathalon team. We've got Team Tip and St. Paul's Collegiate School remains as the first team in the championship division. So we'll keep an eye out for how that championship is unravelling.
Yep, as we see this next regional team coming down, we'll see if they've made it any time on that approximate 120 lead that they had at the start of the ride. So leg over, coming down to the dismount line, and then make their way into T2. Where they'll jump into their shoes.
In that rain, you can see one of our marshals there got the poncho on, and it's needed today because it's starting to get heavier. The forecast was for the rain to arrive at about 6 o'clock, so we were hoping that that would be the case. It's come a little bit earlier, but the show must go on, and these athletes definitely up for the challenge.
Yeah, it's certainly getting a little bit deeper now, but they're good, tough competitors. As we see the leader, this is the leader of one of the regional teams.
All right, so you can see there the mist, even closing in on the port. That's only a few hundred metres away from the beach, but it's starting to, the visibility is starting to drop. But it won't be bothering this boy as he's out on the 1K run. Actually, this is beautiful running weather when you're up to speed and your engine's running at full steam. It's good to have a little bit of precipitation cooling you down.
Yeah, this is regional team number 3. So he's being chased by number 5. He looks like he's hurting a little bit. Strides have got a little bit shorter, and we just look in the background, you'll see Josiah Nate just next to that motorbike, and he's going to be trying to close down that gap for the final team member to take their leg.
Yes, a reminder, this is leg number 3, and then, like you say, the anchor leg is coming right up, and it'll be interesting to see how teams have arranged the order of their athletes. And you mentioned at the start that it becomes a bit of a time trial as athletes get spread out, isolated, and you definitely need to be one of those athletes who can run solo and just bury themselves.
That's the one. I was just looking down, I'm just trying to see, there's a number of regional teams and sort of coaches teams, but it looks like that St. Paul's Collegiate School is still the leading school at the moment. And that team there is made up of Oliver Lacombe, Toby Finlayson, Nikita Coleman and Monique Spedding. So they look like they're the first of the schools at the moment. It's getting dark out there, isn't it, when you start looking at those screens and that light on that camera. It's definitely a steady rain coming down now. Got a few loyal spectators out there still in the grandstands. So this young lad from one of the regional teams has done well. He's managed to hold off the other team. He's going to be glad once he goes through and takes off the his timing chip to pass over to the 4th and final team member.
And this really does, for all of these athletes finishing up here, it wraps up their season. Potentially some of them we'll see them moving over to track and field, competing in the North Island and South Island secondary school champs in a couple of weeks. Or, like you say, going into a bit of a rest period and recuperating, and then maybe working on some of those weaker elements in the off season.
Where are those events happening, mate?
So, that's a good question. So, I don't actually know off the top of my head.
Tough question.
But in about 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
So,
yeah, no, there will definitely be a few of them that make use of that winter. Get those gains in winter.
And obviously, a sport like cross country is great for these athletes to build that strength. And as we saw in the New Zealand cross-country season just gone in 2020, the triathletes featured pretty heavily.
Yeah.
I was down at the New Zealand Cross Challenge down in Dunedin, and it was Eva Goodison and Hayden Wild taking it out. So they really gave it to the runners, and really cross-country's made for triathletes that have those engines and that good strength, can deal with some hills and some mud. Not like the soft track runners.
No, a little bit precious. But they don't think they'll be enjoying these triathletes coming along and taking all these titles off them. But,
it's an interesting thing, and talking to some of the run coaches, looking at the success of Hayden Wild and a lot of the other triathletes who are performing well on the run circuit, they're sort of having a look at the training methodologies and thinking, man, we don't just need to run. Maybe a few hours on the bike or in the pool is a good idea to build that aerobic endurance and then make the running more quality rather than quantity.
It's about building those big engines, you know what I mean, and the specifics you add in. But, it is interesting. It's not a science coaching, is it? It's, it's a bit of an art, and it's trying to figure out how you make that engine, all slightly different, go a little bit better than other ones. And it's always a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. I talked before about spending $20 on a race. Well, it's a bit like spending $20 on, what's your strengths and what's your weaknesses, and getting them right. And you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You should always strengthen strengths, but you've got to keep tacking away at those weaknesses as well. And in triathlon, there's always something. There's always something to go away and work on. And I don't know how many races I've done in my life, but I could sit here, there'd be hundreds, but I could sit there and go, I think I nailed 2 or 3 of them in my life. And you think, I got those right. But that's the beauty. You're always trying to get that perfect race.
All right, another of our athletes goes into leg number 4, sprints down the sand, into the water for the last time today. So this is coming into leg number 4. Now, I can give you a bit of an update on who's where. We have, I think it's regional number 5 have gone through, team number 3 have gone through, just 12 seconds behind. So that's getting nice and close. So we could see them going head to head in this last little stretch. As the rain comes down, the athletes gather under the marquees, try to stay warm. And you can see St. Paul's athlete there. See Hennessy getting his swim cap on. And so each of those swim caps shows that they are in a different category. So the pink is your championship race.
And it looks like Oliver Lecombe there with the St. Paul's Collegiate uniform on. So a little bit different to the notes that we had here that he was leading off, but he will be going last. He's still got a big smile on his face, and so he should, from taking out the under-19 national title this morning, making it 2 years in a row. So a good, strong team member for that team.
Boy, he knows how to do national schools champs, that's for sure. Three wins in a row, 2 senior titles in a row.
And that's it. And then we got Jack Staples there as well in camera, who's shaking a little bit. He shouldn't be shaking.
Someone give him a blanket.
He's from Canterbury. He should be. This is like a balmy day.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of these athletes just do some burpees to stay warm.
Definitely. So Jack was second this morning. So it looks like Sarah McClure has handed over the timing chip, and he's off now. And these are the school teams.
Yeah, so that's the Canterbury team. They're all done and dusted for leg number 3, and leg number 4 athlete sprints out into the water here at Namutu Beach. We have regional team number 3 leading things out. They are out into T1 on leg 4, and will be on the bike. There we go, on the bike and heading up that hill in the rain. And Stephen Sheldrake, we're going to have to part ways shortly because you've got a plane to catch.
Yeah, I've got a 5 o'clock flight out of here, so I'm going to say see you later. Thank you. It's been an awesome day with you, and I'll let you finish this off and do the prize giving for hopefully it dries up a little bit.
You're leaving at just the right time because the prize giving's outdoors, and I'm thinking I left my umbrella in the car.
Oh, maybe my flight's going to leave. I think I've been to New Plymouth about 20 times, and I'd say about 5 or 6 have been caught out by low cloud.
It can get pretty foggy up there, so we may see you again here.
You may see me here for another night, but it's been a pleasure, and it's been great racing, so thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Okay, so this is regional team number 3 out on the bike. 48 seconds behind him is regional team number 5. Getting out onto this greasy old road on Breakwater Road. They'll bike down towards the port entrance, swing a hard right, 180 degrees, and then come back into the transition area, and they'll do that course twice for the bike. As we see these athletes just burying themselves in this relay, handing off the transponder to their teammate, and they get directed down to the swim course, which is a 200-metre swim course. The bike is a tick over 5K, and then it's just a 1K sprint for home on the run. So we've had come through the final changeover to leg 4. We've had the Canterbury team, we've had regional team number 4, Team Tip have come through, regional team number 1, Dominic's team have come through, regional team number 2, St. Paul's Collegiate School, Wanganui Collegiate have also come through to hand over to their 4th athlete, and of course leading things out is regional team number 2 and regional team number 5, 48 seconds separating those 2 teams. And of course we'll be able to work out all the results once things finish up here, with a lot of these teams just starting in waves 1 minute apart. So keep in mind that we have non-championship teams out there competing that are made up of mixed schools, then we have championship teams. So there you can see it's draft legal, so you're allowed to just jump in on the wheel of a fellow competitor, and sharing that lead is always a good way to get home quicker than you would otherwise. You can really save a lot of energy, and if you work together and get that good streamlined train working, you can definitely power home and make the most of this good straight along Breakwater Road. So good teamwork there from athletes who are being lapped, and very cool to see. So the Canterbury team have finished off their swim. They're coming into T1 on this 4th leg. And also regional team number 4 are into transition 1 on this 4th and final leg. So that is regional team number 5 we can see on screen. And as we understand it, they're 48 seconds back from regional team number 3. All right, so down, this athlete comes down the hill around this little lollipop, which completes leg number 1. So you can see how careful you've got to be. That's a greasy old road. Some spots are reverse camber. And this is the dangerous part of the course that Stephen Sheldrake mentioned. You've got the rugby style pads on the posts as they come through there, and then back over the mats that cover the railway lines. Then you're back onto Breakwater Road. This is regional team number 5. They are in 2nd place. Looking nice and composed at the moment. Apologies that we don't have the names of all these regional team athletes in front of us. But this is the final event of what's been a fantastic festival of triathlon here in Taranaki. We kicked off with the individual schools events, then we had the Taranaki Tria, we had the short distance triathlon, great for giving it a go. Then we had a fun run, which was fundraising for a local charity, Mallow Puff Trust. And then we moved into the open sprint race, which was the North Island Sprint Champs, and saw a great win from Hayden Wild and Rebecca Spence, taking those races out. And of course, later this afternoon we'll be handing out the medals for all of the age groups, and we're going to be giving away a Suzuki Swift today. The big competition that's been going throughout the year, 16 different events. At each of those events, one person has picked up an entry to that draw, and 2 more have been added to that today. So we've got 18 people who could be having one of the best days of their life, winning a car worth over $24,000. So thanks to Suzuki, big supporters of triathlon in New Zealand. And wonderful to have that big prize up for grabs. We're also giving away a bed today from House of Beds. Great local business supporting this event. And I also have to do some big shout outs to some of our key sponsors. Venture Taranaki have been a big supporter of this event, helping make this happen. It's a great part of the world to visit. I can tell you from personal experience, having been an Auckland refugee, moving to Taranaki 4 years ago, and it's a wonderful part of the country. Also TSB Community Trust, wonderful supporter of local sport and triathlon in the region. MediaWorks, More FM, great thanks for your media support. And Port Taranaki, obviously the local business that gets behind this event each year. Todd Energy, House of Beds and Slumber Zone, Green Monkey Velo. Now we're going to be handing out a couple of jerseys for the fastest races, which will go to Rebecca Spence and Hayden Wild. And Evolution Road Services, Green Meadows Beef, big meat packs available at the prize giving later today. Primo Broadband, Hooker Pacific, TIL Freight, Vista Drinks, and Powerade, Yogurt, and Plymouth International. So thank you to all of those wonderful sponsors that have got behind this event that was cancelled last year due to the COVID lockdown, and absolutely stoked that it has happened this year, of course, without our international athletes. But it's been a wonderful day of triathlon. Swim, bike, run. Great expression of this incredible sport of triathlon. And here we have one of our athletes coming in to finish off their bike. The feet are on the pedals, navigating the moss and the slippery painted sections of the course. There's a lot of puddles on the ground, and just taking it nice and easy, as you should, around these corners. So I can tell you that regional team number 1 has gone through the transition and is out onto the run. We can see here regional team number 4 with, regional team number 5 this is. We've also got regional team number 4 out there, and regional team number 3 are onto their second lap on the bike. The Canterbury team is through into their second lap on the bike. So coming here into this next transition zone is another one of our athletes. So Lee, they're just navigating that tricky corner, making sure this last little section of his summer of triathlon is nice and safe, and he can get out onto the run all in one piece, all his skin still where it's supposed to be, and get around these technical sections of the course. Unstraps one shoe, or reach down and unstrap the other, and then take the feet out and use gravity to pull him home down to that dismount line. So just snaking your way down off the bike course, down into the transition area.
Oh, yeah. The one in the middle of the road, yeah. I think it's just been down there to check it. Yeah. I've got the legs all
So for those watching at home, it's great to have your company here on Sky Sport Next. And a reminder, you can look through the triathlon playlist and find all the summer's coverage and go back and relive some of the action, relive the action from today, and analyze what went on where, as we see one of our athletes out there already on the run. So that's regional team number 1. I've got a 2-minute lead up on regional team number 3, and of course it's just a 1K run, so expect this to be about 3 minutes for most of these athletes leading things home. So look at this beautiful running technique, nice and relaxed, upright, keeping that cadence nice and high. This is great running here with 1K to run, and he will come down and see the blue carpet ahead of him, the big Tri-Taranaki finish sign above him, and he's got about 300 meters to run. I believe this is regional team number 1 coming down. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as the first of our teams comes through to the finish line, here to finish off the under-19s team relay. Here it is, and they get the finishing tape ready. And the first team across the line, well done. So well done to regional team number 3. They're the first team to finish off in the rain here at Ngā Beach, the 2021 New Zealand Schools Relays. So obviously some different categories going today. So we've got the championship divisions, which are made up of just the teams from the one school, and then we've got athletes who have combined with their region to put together a team and make sure that they can get some good exposure to this great version of triathlon. It's short, it's fast, it's a team sport, and it really does raise the ceiling of your potential getting to just operate at such a high gear. If you can operate at that high gear, you can translate that over to those longer distances. So you can see regional team number 5 here turning round, and then it's just a straight old drag race about 500 or 600 meters down this straight here at Ngā Beach. So Lee running well. There's also an athlete just behind him who's closing quickly. I'll get an update on who that is. I believe that's regional team number 4. We'll get confirmation on that. So look at these big strides, really just chewing up the turf. Now, I believe that's one of our under-16 teams. Is that Marlborough Boys coming through? Just can't quite see the number, but here they come up to the finish line. Marlborough Boys, they are going to take out the under-16 championship division with Ryan Marfil, Joe Caldwell, Gus Marfil, and Finn McKenzie. Well done, boys. You're our under-16 champs. And we have regional team number 5 coming through as well. Finishing in second place for their team. And there's Staples and Perry running neck and neck, and is that Larkham next to them? So it's great to see Sam Perry and Jack Staples running together after they did so much racing together in the actual individual. But here he comes, Oliver Larkham. He'll turn around and see the finish line off in the distance through the rain. Here at New Plymouth, it's really starting to come down now. After holding off all day, it's just going to come down in the last half hour of triathlon in our New Zealand summer. Some more high fives being dished out. Great to see. So swinging around that 180-degree turn. It's just the one turn in the run leg, of course, just 1K, so it's about 400 metres out, then about 600 metres back. We've got some teams finishing off now. So the Canterbury team are coming through, and we've got regional team number 4 as well. We're going to finish 3rd in their division. Canterbury team will cross the line. Well done to all those Canterbury athletes. We've got Morgan Flanagan, Henry McMecking, Sarah McClure, Jack Staples. Great performance from that mixed team. So, reminder again, the Marlborough boys took out the under-16 championship. We haven't seen the under-19 championship come through. And speaking of which, here comes St. Paul's Collegiate. They're going to take out the under-19s championships with Oliver Larkham, Toby Finlayson, Nikita Coleman, and Monique Spedding. Well done to that St. Paul's team. A successful day at the office from them, finishing in the rain as a team. Beautiful scenes. As we conclude the action here at the Triathalon Festival here in New Plymouth. Big thank you to our sponsors that you can see there, Venture Taranaki, TSB Community Trust, Port of Taranaki. And Team Tip coming through here, one of our entrants in the non-championship division. They'll be the first all-male team coming through for that particular division. So thank you everyone for joining the coverage at home, tuning in on Sky Sport Next to watch the action here from Ngāmotu Beach in Taranaki. And a reminder again, you can go back and watch this at any time, and particularly for those watching live at the venue, you can go home and watch this tonight, see how the team looked and watch the highlights. So jump on Sky Sport Next, search for the Triathlon channel, and then look under the playlist and you'll be able to look at all the triathlon action from throughout the summer. And we've got another team coming here, Dominique's team, one of our non-championship under-19 teams, all finishing together as a team. Great to see. Well done to all those athletes. And also regional team number 2 coming through. They'll finish second in their division of the male under-19s. And St. Kitts coming through. They're going to win the under-16s mixed champs. Here they come. Well done to St. Kentigans. They're going to take out their under-16s title with Cohen Anderson, Joshua Gordon Glassford, Izzy Bannister, and Olivia Rooney. All right, and we've got some more athletes coming down, finishing off their 1K run leg. It's a lung burner, it's a leg burner. It's been a big day of triathlon for all these athletes, and finishing off with how fast can you run 1K flat out. And this is the Palmerston North team of Palmerston North Girls High School, Palmerston North Boys High School, the under-16 mixed team. They're going to claim second place. Well done to Palmerston North. And coming through, Art Aitken mixed team in the under-16 non-championship division. The mixed team including Art Aitken, Poppy McGregor, Lola Bryson Bow, and Max Blockley. Well done to all those athletes competing so well out there in the rain, battling the elements. But it's wonderful to see these great scenes of team camaraderie. And what a way to finish up the season. And of course, we have the prize giving shortly to come. That's where we're going to give away a Suzuki Swift, ladies and gentlemen. So throughout the season, at each of the 16 events, we've taken one entry. One lucky person has gone from each of those events and got an entry into that last draw that's going to happen today, and we've added 2 more to that from today's entrance, so we've got 18 entries. So you've got a 1 in 18 chance of winning that Suzuki Swift, brand new Suzuki Swift. It's not on loan or anything, it's yours to keep. And we've got another athlete coming in here, regional team number 1. They're in the under-19s mixed championship. They'll finish 2nd in that division. Showing a bit of skin. Oh, left a little bit of skin on the roads of New Plymouth, and there's been a few tumbles on the course today as people have navigated these greasy roads and technical course, but great practice for these young athletes to get this experience on a technical course, and that'll put them in good stead as they look to do things beyond the school ranks and hopefully when things open up overseas as well. All right, Palmerston North Girls High School coming in here with their female team, under-19s. They're going to take first place in the under-19 champs. So well done to Palmerston North Girls. Not only did they put forward a good team to join up with Palmy Boys, but their under-19 team takes out the under-19 championship as well. So well done. Now we're going to wrap up the coverage shortly here for the Sky Sport Next viewers, as we have Wanganui Collegiate come across the line as well. They're going to finish in 3rd place for the mixed under-19. Well done, Wanganui Collegiate, with Hunter Gibson, Madison Gray, Ai Funglada and Anna Braben. And we'll take one more finishing team as they come through for this coverage from Sky Sport Next. This is the TNT team with Sasha Perez-Barker, Ashton Upfold, Leah Kilmeister and Tori Barrett. They are going to finish 4th in the mixed under-16s. So thank you everyone on the Sky Sport coverage. It's been great to have your company viewing the action here from Ngamotu Beach at the Tri-Taranaki Festival. That's it from our coverage on Sky Sport Next. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications so you can stay tuned to all the action that is to come on this channel. And as the Hamilton boys cross the line, they are in first place. So great that we caught that. First place in the under-19s championship division. Well done, Hamilton boys. And let's stay live for this one more team as Barradine under-19 come in to get 2nd place with Gemma Carter, Charlotte Brown, Liam Evans and Emma Blackmore. And the Canterbury Crushers with Thomas Newsom, Ethan Beater, Ben Crawford and to be confirmed was the 4th member of that team coming through in the under-16s male non-championship, but they'll finish first in that particular division. So well done to all of our athletes, well done to all the team managers and volunteers that have made this event happen. Thank you to all our incredible sponsors. We really couldn't do this without you. We will see you next summer for a wonderful season of triathlon. To all of our viewers on Sky Sport Next, ka kite anō.